As a teacher, I often want to see how most of the students in my class are doing, and then I pay attention to the people who need the most help, and then I also challenge the people who maybe are doing really well. So here is one way to look at that by collecting data. So here are the scores from my first test the students took last year in 2012. As you can see, the range is from 51 to 93. To use this kind of data and find out what most of the kids and how most of the kids are doing, I'm going to first look for the median and the midpoint, the middle number of all of my sets of data. So the way we do that is I'm going to find the one in the middle, so smallest and largest. I'm going to go ahead and cross those out as I go. So cross them out. And this is something that is review for you. And now I have my two middle numbers. There's not one in the very middle, so I have to take the average or the mean of both of those, and I do that by adding them up and dividing by 2. So 76 plus 78 is equal to 154 divided by 2, and that equals 77. I could also just think, hey, what's in the middle of 76 and 78? And that's going to be 77. So my median is 77. Next, I'm going to be looking for something new, a set of data called quartiles. Quartiles are points that divide my data into 4 equal parts. The median is already one of my quartiles. So let's not forget my median is going to be 77, which is right here. So I'm going to take a look at this lower half of the data from 51 to 76. And now I need to find what's called the lower quartile, the median of the lower half of the data set. So I cut my data in half, and now I'm just going to look for the data that is right here. I'm going to just look at this group. And I'll do the same thing that I did before. Lowest and highest, and lowest and highest, and lowest and highest. My lower quartile is going to be 62. Now I'm going to look for the third quartile, or the upper quartile, and that's going to be the median of the upper half of the data. So here's the definition for that. I'm going to look to everything to the right of my data now in this group. I'm going to find the median of this group. So cross out the lowest and the highest, so the 78, 79, and the median, my upper quartile, is going to be 83. Now I'm going to start graphing my data. First thing I need to do is figure out the range. In this case, the range is 42. From 93 to 51, the difference is 42. I'm going to figure out my intervals. 5s seems like a good interval to graph. So I make a number line, and I'm going to start at 50 because 51 is my lowest number, and I'm going to end at 95 because 93 is my highest number. Then I'm going to plot my quartiles. So the first quartile I'm going to plot is the median, and that's at 77. And so draw a vertical line about 2 centimeters, and I'm going to do my best to estimate. I don't have a ruler right now, which hopefully you will have a ruler when you do this on your own. So there's my first quartile, well, technically the second quartile, my median. Now I'm going to draw the lower quartile, and it's going to be a parallel line, again about 2 centimeters right above 62. And then third, I'm going to do my upper quartile, right here at 83. And I'm going to draw a box connecting these. So now I have this middle chunk of all of my data. I now need to graph the minimum and the maximum. My minimum is at 51, so I'm going to put a dot there, or you can put a line. And then my maximum is at 93. And to connect those to the quartiles, I just draw a line connecting them. The title of this kind of graph is called a box and whisker plot. It looks like that. It's called that because it kind of looks like a box, this part here, and little whiskers on the side. This middle area where the box is represents the middle half of my data, the 2 quartiles in the middle. The first bit here represents all of either my outliers or the data that is below the first sort of the middle half, and the data that's above the middle half. I'm going to label and remind you about the steps you need to do as we go. So the first thing I did was find the median. The median was 77, and so I'm going to label that spot here on my graph. This is 77, the median. Then I found the lower quartile by finding the median of the lower half of my data. That was at 62. And I drew a line there. Then I found the upper quartile, or the median of the upper half of my data, and that was at 83. I do need to graph my minimum amount, 51, and also my maximum amount, 93. There are 5 data points that you need in order to graph a box and whisker plot. In your notes for this lesson and this homework, you should be sure that you have written down the words quartile and that you know how to find the upper and lower quartiles. Then I'd like you to complete problem Go 57 from your textbook.